Hola amigos, bienvenidos a Explorando con Cindy. Hoy estamos en la represa Shasta, en el norte de California, y vamos a hacer un recorrido completo por la represa, así que acompáñanos en esta aventura. Si estás en el centro de la ciudad de Redding, al norte de California, estás a solo unos 15 minutos en auto de la represa Shasta. Dirígete hacia el norte por la carretera Interestatal 5, toma la salida hacia el Boulevard de la represa Shasta y la carretera comienza a subir hacia las colinas. La ciudad queda rápidamente atrás, reemplazada por pinos y carreteras sinuosas. En pocos kilómetros, la represa aparece a la vista, una enorme estructura de concreto que se extiende a través del río Sacramento. La represa se encuentra en la región norte de California, en el condado de Shasta, justo en el borde sur de la cordillera de las Cascadas. Detrás de ella se encuentra el lago Shasta, el embalse más grande del estado, que se extiende entre colinas boscosas. En días despejados incluso puedes ver el Monte Shasta elevándose en la distancia. No es un lugar remoto, pero se siente alejado de la vida agitada de la ciudad. Lo suficientemente cerca para una excursión de un día desde la ciudad de Redding, pero rodeada de paisajes abiertos y agua. La represa Shasta se sitúa en el cruce natural donde el terreno montañoso, los sistemas fluviales y el cielo del norte de California convergen. Todas las carreteras de California parecen encontrarse aquí. Imagina estar al borde de un gigante, donde la roca se encuentra con el río, donde la ambición humana se enfrenta a la fuerza bruta del agua. Esta es la represa Shasta, una estructura monumental que se eleva sobre el río Sacramento en el accidentado terreno del norte de California. Terminada en 1945, no es solo una obra de infraestructura, sino un testimonio de lo que una nación puede lograr cuando una visión audaz se une al poder industrial. Tu puerta de entrada a la experiencia comienza en el centro de visitantes o el centro turístico de la represa Shasta, un espacio lleno de exhibiciones, historia y guías amables. Aquí encontrarás información sobre la creación de la represa y su papel en el proyecto del Valle Central, exposiciones informativas e incluso una película que profundiza tu apreciación del lugar. El centro de visitantes opera con un horario que puede variar según la temporada en el año y el personal. Normalmente están abiertos de viernes a martes de 8 de la mañana hasta las 4 de la tarde y cierran los miércoles y los jueves. Se recomienda llamar con anticipación para confirmar los horarios y el teléfono está en su página web. Hay estacionamiento gratuito disponible, así que ya sea que vengas en auto, en casa rodante o en motocicleta, tendrás espacio para llegar y disfrutar del paisaje antes de comenzar tu recorrido. Al entrar al centro de visitantes encontrarás la tienda de regalos. Y me preguntarás qué incluye el recorrido. Los recorridos guiados están dirigidos por expertos. Llevan a los visitantes a través y dentro de la represa, incluyendo una caminata por la parte superior de la represa, descenso en ascensor aproximadamente 120 metros hacia el interior, recorrido por galerías internas con vistas al vertedero y maquinaria, visita a la planta eléctrica donde enormes turbinas generan electricidad. Y toda esta experiencia es gratuita. La experiencia es educativa y emocionante. Aprenderás sobre la historia de su construcción, las decisiones de ingeniería y cómo funciona dentro del sistema regional de agua. Los horarios y recorridos suelen ofrecerse de viernes a martes con horarios comunes, a las 9 de la mañana, a las 11 de la mañana, a la 1 de la tarde y muchas veces a las 2 y 3 de la tarde. Se recomienda llegar al menos una hora antes para asegurar un lugar y dura aproximadamente una hora. Y como mencioné anteriormente, el tour y recorrido es gratuito. Como detalles importantes, tienes que recordar que los boletos se entregan una hora antes. Los grupos son limitados, aproximadamente de 20 personas por grupo. Algunos objetos que cargas contigo pueden estar restringidos. Llega temprano o visita entre semana, porque eso aumentará tus posibilidades de la participación de este tour gratuito. Y aquí te doy unos consejos muy prácticos. Planifica con anticipación el tour de la represa Shasta. Llega temprano, infórmate sobre lo que puedes llevar y disfruta de los alrededores. La película que estamos viendo ahora es la película en el centro de visitantes que explica por qué se construyó la represa, los desafíos de ingeniería y su papel en el suministro de agua, control de inundaciones y la energía hidroeléctrica. Es una excelente introducción antes de tu recorrido.
The bust. On October 29, 1929, the stock market crashed, plummeting the United States and much of the world into the Great Depression. Unseen by most, the dark veil of the Depression disguised a time of unprecedented promise. In 1933, bold politics met and merged with recent profound advances in material science and engineering. Projects, far-fetched or impossible just a few years earlier, became practical. Only with a new generation of scientifically engineered materials, such as concrete and steel alloys, could modern construction techniques bring about the giant dams, expansive steel bridges, skyscrapers, and structures that would change the face of the nation. Combined with a new era of assembly line productivity and mechanization, the tools needed to transform the nation were now within the reach of a new generation of builders. Technology paved the way, but nothing could be built without the will to make it happen. Californians have long recognized the agricultural potential of the Central Valley. Still, funding remained a serious obstacle during the Depression for cash-strapped states. Since its creation in 1902, the Bureau of Reclamation was directed by Congress to control raging floodwaters, to transform the mechanical power of flowing water into electrical power, and to provide a reliable source of water and electricity for communities, industry, and agriculture. It all had to start somewhere, so the original stage of the project began with its keystone facility, Shasta Dam. Almost 3,500 feet long, Shasta Dam gracefully arcs between western and eastern mountain abutments. In the United States, Shasta Dam is second in size only to Grande Dam in Washington State. Shasta uses sheer weight from 6.5 million cubic yards of concrete to hold back the crushing pressures of Shasta Lake, over 500 feet deep at full pool. The plan for Shasta Dam was first to control floods, and then to help turn the Central Valley's productive soils and favorable climate into a great American agricultural treasure.
The Shasta Dam was kind of the first foundation of those large projects that the government stepped in and helped fund and really helped reshape our vision of California.
Shasta Dam presented a daunting challenge, both in engineering and management. Overseeing 4,700 workers required specific abilities, dam building experience, and profound structural engineering expertise, if only just to comprehend the scope of the task ahead. Who better for the job than the greatest dam builder in the world? His name? Frank Crowe. Crowe was experienced at doing things that couldn't be done. He was skilled at managing men, money, and equally important, time. It was the kind of challenge that intrigued Frank Crowe. He brought with him a loyal band of construction supervisors, dam building experts, and skilled workers that followed him from job to job across the American West. The new dam and reservoir forced the relocation of more than 30 miles of railroad track to higher ground. Crews were blasting and excavating deep into the east and west mountain abutments. The cuts would, in effect, cradle and secure the dam. This was an immense, dangerous task, involving numerous crews with wheel drilling rigs, dynamite, and blasting on a daily schedule. Repeated sharp cracks, followed by the deep roar of thunderous explosions, echoed off mountains and shook the ground. Secured by ropes, high scalers crowbarred and jackhammered the keyways down to stable bedrock.
These guys were hard-working, unbelievable hard work, and there's pictures of them, you know, with these huge drills going up the mountainside. It was ambient noise and just all these sounds, huge equipment and vibrators and all kinds of sounds coming in.
Efficiency was a key element in cost-effective construction. The best regional source of aggregate, the sand, gravel, and stone mixture used in making concrete, was found in Reading, almost 10 miles away. And so, the longest conveyor belt in the world was built to provide a steady delivery of aggregate, pre-sorted from sand to cobbles. Cement, the binding agent in concrete, arrived by rail from cement plant kilns near San Jose. The head tower loomed over the entire construction site. It cast an austere, steely shadow. Its hard silhouette implied that it meant business. It did. The job was progressing on schedule in the fall of 1939 as Pacific storms began to roll over coastal mountains, bringing waves of precipitation. Nearing the end of February 1940, floodwaters tore through the dam site. Still, great progress was made in spite of record rainfall, bridge and equipment destruction, and other setbacks from the winter flood of 1940. By July, they were back on schedule. In 1940, digging down was rapidly replaced by going up. Construction began with foundations. The first bucket of concrete was placed, and so began the seemingly unending flow of material to the dam site. Block after concrete block kept rising, defining the shape of what was to come. The head tower was Shasta's Grande central station, an aerial hub of activity where huge buckets of concrete, reinforcing rod, tools, men, and supplies were both arriving and departing. And like Grande Central Station, all of it on a rigorous round-the-clock 3-shift time schedule.
You're out in the mountains and suddenly there's this great big area of lights everywhere and people everywhere doing all kinds of things in the air. So to me it was great.
Not everybody is lucky enough to grow up in an area that something like this is going on. It was ever changing too. This is amazing. This is something you try to build as a kid, you know, you try to build out of a erector set or something, and here it is, life-size, giant-size thing. And I used to stand there a lot and just watch, you know, because it was a moving, living thing. It was like ants down there, you know, and all this equipment and all these cables going to all these here towers, and so there were buckets moving all the time. It was amazing to watch as a kid.
Looming over everything else, the head tower became an icon, the symbol for the entire project, and the assembled aspirations of the engineers and workers who built the dam. Fresh concrete was moved by rail and then dropped into giant airborne 8 cubic yard buckets, each holding 16 tons of concrete, ready for takeoff on cableways 1 through 7. To avoid confusion and accidents, a single skilled winch operator piloted all cableway traffic. The winch operator was really a pilot guided by ground control, the high-wire cable dispatchers known as bellboys. No time was wasted getting fresh concrete to its destination. Once in the form, gangs of men used giant vibrators to settle the mixture, around 5 feet deep, making it as dense and as strong as possible. Separate from the dam, crews were making progress on the powerhouse with its cavernous generator gallery. The giant dam rose from blocks of concrete, sawtooth ribbed so that each block interlocked into the adjacent blocks. Together, each 50-foot block distributed and shared the cumulative total of water pressure behind the dam to prevent failure. Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The world changed on the morning of December 7th, 1941. The United States was drawn into World War II as bombs rained down on the Navy's Pacific Fleet.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
In 1942, a dark cloud of war hung over the nation. Most news from the European and Pacific war theaters was bad news. The race was on to finish the dam for the war effort. In 1944, electrical power from 2 generators reached San Francisco Bay Area shipyards. Shasta Dam fulfilled its part of the war effort, and ahead of schedule. On December 22nd, 1944, a ceremony was held for the last bucket of concrete to be placed. Shasta Dam plays a key role in making possible the California that we recognize today. Shasta Dam is a giant machine. Even today, engineers marvel at the construction quality, the detailed planning and engineering that make the dam function. This includes fail-safe systems designed to be controlled by human hands.
Our fuel is water, so it's available all the time there. It's got energy in it. All we have to do is run it through a generator to make power.
The 5 giant generators have been retrofitted with more and tighter windings that almost double their original output. But none of that would have been possible without the original quality construction built into each unit. From the massive turbine main shafts to the nearly 900-foot thick concrete spillway, Shasta Dam was built to last. Modern civilization is dependent on reliable energy. Electrical power is a great benefit, but it is not why Shasta Dam was built. Shasta is all about water. With water, the Central Valley could become an agricultural oasis. But standing in front of that hope was the harsh truth that water was also the enemy. What water gave, it stalled in uncontrolled floods. Shasta Dam was the down payment in building the Central Valley Project. Its first priority, though, was to halt the floodwaters of the Sacramento River and make its valley safe for communities and agriculture. Only then could canals be safely built to bring water to dry lands and bring the dream to life. Today, the many dams of the Central Valley Project work in concert with each other to provide water to communities, agriculture, and industry. The water that flows from Shasta Dam has multiple uses. One of the most important is nothing less than terraforming, the turning of the Central Valley into a garden oasis. In California, water scarcity has spurred conservation efforts. Innovations in drip irrigation, soil moisture sensors, and aerial remote sensing have sparked a revolution in the efficient use of water. Now, more crops are grown using far less water.
California's agriculture, and in my opinion at least, has been really forward-looking as far as looking at ways to be more efficient and to ensure that we stretch every drop as far as we possibly can.
With between 2 to 3 million visitors yearly, Shasta Dam and Shasta Lake have become the major tourist destination in Northern California and a boon to the local economy. Dozens of tributary streams and their valleys join the Sacramento, McCloud River, and Pitt River arms of Lake Shasta. Each arm and tributary valley has its own distinct character, some with unique geology, others with hidden coves, island campsites, and grand viewpoints. As night falls, the lake and dam below seem a part of, but also quietly distinct from the lights of the Central Valley oasis that they helped create. It stands as a monument to the skill and abilities of an entire American generation of can-do engineers and builders. And also to the character of the American people who both willed and worked their way to a better future. Shasta Dam remains a larger-than-life tribute to this greatest generation. Emerging from the hardship and despair of the Great Depression, from drought and dust bowl, but bound by common cause, they built grand public works across the nation and on a scale never before seen.
The facilities are incredible. The fact that they were able to design them and construct them in the amount of time that they did with the resources that they had at the time is just unfathomable. That we can continue to operate them as we do is just a testament to the incredible job that they did on that original engineering and construction.
Here, they left a lasting, living legacy by turning a near desert into one of the world's greatest, most productive agricultural oases.
El corazón de toda la experiencia es el recorrido guiado. Aunque muchos visitantes se quedan en la cima admirando la vista, nada se compara con caminar por sus pasillos interiores y estar dentro de su sala de máquinas. La represa Shasta no es solo la represa, es la puerta a una región natural espectacular. El lago Shasta se extiende como una cinta de zafiro, ofreciendo recreación y belleza escénica. Senderos, áreas de picnic y miradores abundan por doquier. Un día puede convertirse fácilmente en un fin de semana de exploración. Desde las carreteras sinuosas hasta las vistas panorámicas del lago y las estribaciones de Sierra Nevada, la represa ha inspirado asombro durante casi 8 décadas. La historia comienza en los años 30, durante la Gran Depresión en los Estados Unidos. La Oficina de Reclamación de Estados Unidos propuso construir una enorme represa para controlar inundaciones, asegurar agua y generar energía. La construcción comenzó en 1938. Durante 7 años, miles de trabajadores participaron y finalmente se creó una represa de gravedad de concreto de 183 metros de altura y más de 1000 metros de longitud. Ya en 1945, la represa se completó, convirtiéndose en una pieza clave en la gestión del agua en California. Esta represa regula la naturaleza, crea el lago Shasta, que almacena más de 4.5 millones de acres pie de agua. Reduce inundaciones y suministra agua para agricultura y comunidades. En la planta eléctrica, como verás aquí, se genera energía renovable para cientos de miles de hogares. Además, la zona ofrece recreación, navegación, pesca, senderismo y camping. La represa cuenta con 7 generadores, 5 principales y 2 auxiliares. No siempre funcionan todos, se ajustan según la demanda energética. Y hoy vimos a 3 generadores funcionando. Durante su construcción, una línea ferroviaria atravesaba el área. Se construyó un túnel temporal, luego reemplazado por una nueva ruta permanente, y este túnel fue sellado. En conclusión, la represa Shasta no es solo una parada en el mapa, es un monumento a la ingeniería humana en un paisaje impresionante. Desde su creación hasta los recorridos actuales, conecta historia, comunidad y tecnología. Al estar en su cima o dentro de sus corredores, no solo visitas un lugar, entras en la historia. Y esto nos lleva al final del video de hoy. Sé que te gustó, así que dale like y suscríbete al canal. Activa la campana para no perderte futuros videos. Si quieres ver la historia de la represa Hoover, revisa también ese video. Muchas gracias por vernos y nos vemos en la próxima aventura.